Welcome to 30 Days of Awakening. This is day 16. The challenge for today is to laugh at the ego. In particular, even more so, laugh at the ego when it's being diminished, when it's being challenged, when my ego is being challenged. Let's laugh at it in that moment today. Okay? Why? Well, the ego doesn't like the idea of ideas that it believes about itself to be questioned. So it usually defends. It defends these ideas that it has about itself. It doesn't think it's funny usually in those moments. Nothing funny about an ego being diminished. So if we can laugh at our ego being diminished and just step back from it and go, oh, look at this. It stops the behavior that was about to happen from the ego being diminished. Let me give you an example. I am a voice teacher, and I believe one of my egoic beliefs I have about myself is I believe I'm a pretty damn good voice teacher. I've been doing this a long time. I could tell you all my success stories about it. I'm pretty fancy. I'm pretty big time voice teacher, right? In my mind. And so let's say I have a student that I'm working with who they say, Tim, I don't get it. And I know you've got this reputation and all, but I think you're full of it. I don't think you know what you're talking about. I'm going to go study with that person. And not only that, I'm going to tell most of my friends, I really don't think they should study with you. I don't think you know what you're doing. Whoa! Boom! So how would my ego unchecked react? What are you talking about? I've been doing this for a lot of years. I have so many success stories. Well, my ego goes, blah, blah, blah. It gets all defensive. How dare you question something I believe about myself, right? That's how my ego wants to react. It doesn't want to believe maybe that it's wrong, that I am not a good voice teacher. It doesn't want that identity, that big chunk of what it is, to be taken away. So it defends. Why does it defend? Why? Well, this is the crazy part. Your ego defends because of, very logically, why does anybody defend anything get defensive? Well, the biggest reason to get defensive is because you're about to die. The ego is afraid to die. Why is the ego afraid to die? Well, because, here's the kicker, the ego doesn't exist. It's not real. That's why it's afraid to die. Our egos are so insecure, this construct, it's a little insecure to be something that doesn't exist. Right? So, it's fearful. The ego is so fearful that it's going to die that anytime it's questioned, it's afraid that that's a little bit of death happened. So that's why laughing at the moment when the ego, which is this collection of thoughts that we believe about ourselves is true. That's why at that moment, when one of those thoughts we believe to be true, if we can catch ourselves about to have a reaction, hey, no, what do you mean? I know what I'm doing. Catch ourselves in that moment and go, ugh. Whoa, look at me reacting out of ego right now. I'm not going to react. You may feel it inside you, like, I'm going to fight. No. You think I'm a bad voice teacher? Okay. I guess I'll look at that. Thank you. All right. So you take that immediate unchecked reaction of the ego, and you just stopped it in its tracks. Because that part of the ego reacting, we don't like that. We don't think that's pretty. We don't think that looks good. And that doesn't usually serve us on our quest to defend. When somebody gets defensive, their ego gets defensive, it's because their ego experienced a mini fear of death. All right? How do these egos happen? How do we build them? They come up when we're babies. We come up when as babies we're born. We have no egos. Our eyes blink, blink, blink. We're looking at the world. We're just processing the world. We're not labeling it. We haven't created this sense of identity yet. You can see it with kids coming up. If you have kids or you're around kids a lot, you can see the ego being formed. And it's the way that we make believe with each other in this world. It's this. Imagine we're explaining to this baby, okay, baby, here's the way the world works. All right, in a couple years, we're going to start building your ego, because that's how we interact with each other. We make up these things we believe about ourselves to be true, and then we have this made-up thing talk to everyone else's made-up things. I'm Tim. I'm a voice teacher. I'm 40 years old. I live in New Jersey. I'm good at throwing baseballs, but I'm not a very high jumper. I can make sauces, but I'm not good at baking. Whatever. Like we take all of these. We create this thought construct, thoughts that we believe about ourselves to be true. That's the ego. We take these thoughts and we create a thing over the years that adds up. Some of them good, some of them bad. Oh, I'm terrible at talking in front of people. I'm never going to meet anybody new that I really care about. All of these things, can also be tools of the ego. They can be positive thoughts, they can be negative thoughts, they can be any thoughts that we believe about ourselves to be true. These are the tools of the ego. And we spend our lives building these things, And there's so much talk as if having an ego, it's like it's a bad thing, or like, oh, that's your ego. Well, the ego gets funky when we're acting out of it in an unchecked way. However, I'm going to say this right now, and who knows, this may change later on down the road. I enjoy having an ego, and I hope to have an ego. An ego is one of the ways that I plug into everyone else. And in addition to that, I'd like to have presence to my ego. I'd like to believe in this thought belief thing. I'm Tim. I'm a voice teacher. I'm a good voice teacher. I'm going to dance with this egoic belief for a while. I may change. I may decide, you know what? Fine, I'm a good voice teacher, but you know what? I'm a gardener. Now, that's what I am. I've become a gardener. I'm a runner. I put that one in my egoic basket 5-6 years ago. Now I've kind of plucked that one out when when my hip was my legs were getting funky from not stretching, running. So there's one. I'm a bad stretcher. Okay. So having an ego gives me something to plug into other people. They take me like, oh, okay. There's something I can relate to. He's in the illusion too, If I'm completely free from ego, which there are some people like Eckhart Tolle, I believe he talks as if he's free from ego. I wonder, Eckhart, you sure you don't have a sense of self-worth? Are you sure there's nothing we could take away from you? I think maybe it's true with it. I don't know. It might be tough to take anything away. His breakthrough, if you read A New Earth, was he had the courage to step right out of his life and just take all of his egoic constructs and just like went to America and just kind of like no money, just like he did it, So what he did was he kind of killed his ego. And now the thing about it is it keeps rebuilding. Ego's so shifty because why? Your ego is this sense of self that you've created, and when it doesn't really care what it believes, as long as it's got something it believes, because it doesn't want to die. So you could be the greatest or the worst, but as long as it's got something it believes about itself, it believes it will survive. So the question is, What happens when it does start to lose hold on us? If we're able to really catch our ego in the moment and then watch it and witness it, it starts to lose its ability to defend itself. So, as I say this now, I think I'm going to slightly amend what I said earlier in that I want an ego, or I want to continue to have this thing. The truth is, I want to keep pretending that I'm an ego. I don't truly believe that I'm an ego. Even Tim, I don't think, believes he's an ego anymore, which is weird. I do believe that I am the awareness behind the ego, the awareness of thought, witnessing the ego existing. I believe that because that is the truth. There's nothing to argue with that in my mind. It's the only truth, is I'm the awareness behind that. So, by me continually being present to myself as the awareness of my ego, I allow my ego to exist as a plaything. I get to look at it like, ooh, I'm Tim, I'm a voice teacher. Somebody diminishes my ego, I get to go, ooh, look at this. Tim's being diminished here, poor Tim. Aww. Because the reality is, I'm not a voice teacher. I have a thought inside of the truth of me, this awareness of me, that says, I'm a voice teacher. But that thought could stop. It could become something else. My ego could move on and become something else. And that's okay. If I can be at peace with my ego shifting around, then I'm really figuring something out. If I'm not fighting my ego and I'm able to watch it and allow it, ooh, look at this. Like for me right now, I'm having egoic shifts because now I've put into my egoic identity basket now, I've put into it that I am now talking about this kind of stuff, awareness, consciousness. I didn't have that in my egoic basket, in my ego identity, egoic basket, I think that's what Tolle says. You know, I didn't have in my identity of my Tim that I am a person who talks about this stuff on YouTube. Now I do. So now I get to watch, I'll probably see some part, if people interact with these videos. Oh my gosh, look at me. I guess I know what I'm talking about with this spiritual self-awakening stuff. Look at this. I'm pretty good. That will happen. Or not. Or I'll have, oh my gosh, nobody watches these videos? I'm not very good at this. And that will be my egoic construct too that I'll get to look at. So, with this awareness, we can die, our egos can die, be dead to us, and alive at the same time. Our ego can be meaningless. This is a paradoxical thing. Can be meaningless and fun to play with at the same time. It can create emotions we don't want and be funny. So, that's enough about that. Let's laugh at our egos as they shift around and as they think they're so important because they're afraid of not existing. And let's give our ego all the space it needs to have its experience and just enjoy it. Enjoy watching it. Enjoy what comes. And be really understanding and okay with whatever your ego thinks it is. Whether it thinks you're good at stuff or crappy at stuff or whatever. Just start studying it and looking at it. Oh, look at my ego doesn't think that I'm good in meetings. Talking in meetings. Isn't that interesting? Is that true? Do I want to keep that one? See, you can even change them out too. You can change your beliefs about yourself if you want to, if you care. If they're all not so much fun, you know. But the whole point is this presence. When we become present, everything shifts. This is a big one. This definition we have of ourselves. Okay? So, laugh at your egos today. Have a great day.